I'm Ed Barrie, Chief Product Officer at Treasury4. I'm joined today by Craig Jeffery of Strategic Treasurer. Craig, it's great to have you on the session today. It seems like we can't pick up a discussion anywhere today in Treasury without AI, those two letters being top of mind. And I'm just curious to get your perspective on what you're hearing from your customers, your partners, the ecosystem. I'll just hand it over to you to just give us the view here on AI.
Sure, it's good to be here. Yes. AI is certainly the hottest topic. They've been experimenting more heavily on their own personally. They're experimenting, using it and testing AI at work. And they are using AI more predominantly at work through tools that come with some of the AI capabilities. So we've done research on this a little over a year ago, and then just a few months ago. Across almost every single factor, it's more use, greater expectation of how it will impact the organization, both Treasury and finance more broadly. So
that's fantastic. It does feel like a real sea change is happening here, and it's not even comparable to thinking, but this is much more tangible in the hands of everybody, and it's not an IT issue. It's not an IT requirement. It's everybody needing to upskill themselves around AI and how to use the tools and technology. What are you seeing in terms of in Treasury specifically, or even the office of the CFO? How are people upskilling and how they can interact with AI? What are they doing to learn?
What are they doing, or what should they be doing? Right? There's a little bit of a difference there, but I do. Before I get into the people side, you mentioned non-fungible tokens. I think a little bit of a hype on that. Another topic that'd be good to discuss would be the Genius Act at some point, right? Mm-hmm. The framework where you can have payment stable coins over the blockchain, where it takes away. But in terms of the training, what are people doing there? What you should be paying for a small subscription to one of the AI tools to learn, play, experiment with it. Don't load all your corporate data into it, but play and learn how to do simple, small things and move from small things to chaining some of those things together, orchestrating those together. If you have not had a plan for upskilling people in your group so far, make sure you do that before the end of the year. One is to understand the different types of AI. What is machine learning, pattern detection, recognition of that activity versus generative AI, creating things, versus agentic AI or agent macros, or ways that you can link these different other agents together, other programs together to get things done. So doing, creating, and detecting, there is so much to be done there. People should be conversant with that activity and the terms, and they should be playing with it, at least gaining some facility with some of the general tools, even if you're not saying I'm going in to be an AI program. Two places to do that. One is you can get Tascade, Copilot, any of the other ones that are out there, ChatGPT. Pay for a more full-featured function, play with it. And then also within your tool. So if your tool, your Treasury tool, your payment hub, your Treasury system, your netting platform, whatever those are, if they have AI capabilities built in, you should be at least running parallel or doing some experimentation on that. That's what we see more people doing that. I don't think it's enough, but it's definitely scaled up. In 1 year, the level of people that are doing it has grown significantly.
Do you think treasurers need to lead by example in terms of use and adoption and learning of AI? Or maybe said another way, how are they empowering their teams to give them the go-ahead to start those experimentations?
They need to lead. Is it by example of, do you have to spend all your time with cloud or one of the other tools? I don't think you have to do that. It's harder if you don't have any facility, if you've never written a macro in Excel. You don't have to do that. You can have your own Excel jockeys or gurus or other people who do coding, but you want to be familiar with it enough to know what the potential is and what some of the dangers are and how it works and how it doesn't work in some cases. So leading by example is at least on the awareness of what things can do. On the doing, part of your question might be, do you have to spend an hour every day playing with ChatGPT or Taskade or something? I don't think so. But I think you do need to lead by the example. It would definitely be by learning. You should play with it somewhat. So it's so hard because it changes so fast. Even a little bit of exposure will help you understand it much, much better.
The skill set now going forward is how to become really good at prompting, to ask the right questions, to give the right context, the right inputs. So are you seeing much focus on that aspect of how users are engaging with AI in the form of prompting?
And the fact that you can also train your AI tool to learn your context better. It's informally being done as you learn. Like, you ask a very broad question and you get, the answer. It's like, hey, I'm driving to Nashville this week, and I said, show me hotels in Nashville. Said, there are no hotels with vacancies in Nashville, North Carolina. Okay, well, you need a little more context for that. So this guy didn't even know there was a Nashville, North Carolina, but that idea that context is so important for learning and understanding. Mm-hmm. And we know that, and we're used to the Bing search or a Google search where you just type in something and it learns some of the context, but your inquiries need to have the context of okay, we're in corporate treasury, we're asking this type of question about Fed funds rates from the Fed. So building that in, and then also prompting it to say, learn the context that I'm operating in. I'm operating in corporate treasury. These are the things that matter, and continue to build the context of your conversations is certainly helpful. And there's been some areas where I haven't done that. And then now I got to type a paragraph and a half for what should have been just a 1 or 2 line query.
Going back to how you were mentioning the use of agents, do you think that use of agents is going to really take us back to being able to tangibly solve for the basic blocking and tackling around bank account administration?
Really helpful, right? It's the EBAM, electronic bank account management. There's all these conversations made up of messages that go back and forth. And you also mentioned how quickly AI is developing, and it certainly is developing rapidly, far more rapidly than other technologies. Just when people move to cloud native tech, the development seems to be 5 to 8 times faster. When we look at AI, I don't know what the numbers are, but it seems it's at least 10 times. Like every short period of time, you could be 5 to 10 times more efficient and effective at certain functions. And some of that's done by, we break things down into small pieces, and then they're put together. Just look at Kubernetes or microservices, where there's smaller things that are strung together, put together. So this orchestration of agents that control other agents, and those agents can be small and defined, and there's feedback loops, and there's a way to bring in the humans. The fact that you were talking about the complexity of bank account management and some of the KYC activity that goes with that means that we can have more of those smaller pieces put together. We can trigger that so the human in the loop gets brought in more effectively. And so it's like you can get a better assistant over time as you continue to work those things. So yes, I don't think it's going to be day one or tomorrow. You have the agents that'll handle everything without bringing a human in the loop, but it'll start off quite good and will grow in its capabilities at an extraordinarily rapid rate.
I agree with that. There's not a one size works for everybody solution around bank account administration. Every bank is different. Every country branch is different. Every organization is different. There's principles that party is following, but the nuance is such that it would be hard to have a completely global defined standard and process around it. And so it seemed, to your point, using these agents with human intervention and the fact that, or the need to be able to touch and interact with the bank systems in addition to the corporate systems is going to be something that will iterate through, but can bring a lot of value to the age-old problem of client onboarding, bank account management, KYC. So I'm super excited to see how organizations adopt AI in the agentic workflow to drive automation and just remove friction overall in the process.
If you're a company that has dealing with 2 banks and 50 accounts, you're probably not going to spend time doing that. You'll just deal with the lifting. But if you've got 20 different banks and 1,000 accounts or 5,000 accounts, then the payback it's really worth an investment as you scale. And complexity scales so rapidly that these agents will help in different components. If you relate it to agentic AI to macros, if you're trying to make a macro do everything all at once versus you have the menu and you have all these different macros that you can run one after another, you can get stuck in this loop. It's not doing what I want. Where did it go wrong? Whereas you can have smarter macros or loops with the agents performing functions, identifying different paths that it takes, and it's a much smarter, it's a way smarter macro, far smarter macro than we've ever been able to use before, which is where a lot of the power comes in.
Agreed. Well, I know at the end of the month, we're all looking forward to the annual AFP conference in Boston. Do you think AI is going to be the overwhelming or overriding theme at this year's AFP?
I think that will be. The APIs will be number 2. Turbulence with tariffs and rate changes will probably be number 3, but that'll be number 1. How about you?
I would agree. Last year we saw a lot of AI discussions, but it's going to be a multitude more this year. Every technology vendor has to be articulate in how they're using AI, either how it's benefiting the customer, how they're using it in their own development and within their own organization. But I know banks will be talking about how they're using AI, how AI can be leveraged against the whole sea of data that Treasury and finance teams struggle to deal with. And there's, I think it's not lost on me that the use of AI with APIs for that real-time treasury, there's definitely a connection there that shouldn't be overlooked, and they shouldn't be looked at in isolation. It's API or AI, but how the whole kind of workflow and data exchange comes together. But the topic of AI is going to be the dominant theme at this year's AFP.
As you said that, you mentioned the sea of data as opposed to a data, which was pretty cool. And then you talk about APIs, which is connecting to data. And at some point, it would be great to talk about, business intelligence tools have really helped harness massive amounts of data, put that and be able to flip it in different ways instantaneously. So you have this idea of there's 2 tracks that are helping with the questions. How can I learn rapidly, as opposed to I ask a question, someone has to go figure out what goes on, they go pull the data, they come back 5 days later, here's the answer to that question. As soon as you see the answer, now I have another question, and then they have to go back and get more data. And so part of the challenges are solved by business intelligence, where you're getting data and you're self-serving and you ask the question, then you can ask the next question right away and the next question, so you can get deeper without necessarily sending it off to the data scientist or data guru. At the same time, when we use AI, this ability to do natural language search, queries, showing correlations is another way of getting at that in different ways. And I wonder how those 2 things are going to meet and merge. Maybe that's a topic for another
podcast here, or webcast, or the march to real time. It's not just real time treasury; it's real time finance, right? And the compression of time, but with all this data, and now AI in all of its forms across the top of that, and BI tools definitely have their place, because BI tools are really meant for users to explore their data, ask questions, get an answer, get some insights, ask more questions. And so it's really how all of that synthesizes